Hey guys, welcome to another Double Tap on YouTube. I am Stephen Scott.
I am Shaun Preece. Hello.
And today we're going to continue our conversation on recording at home and on the move. Last time we talked audio. This time we're going to talk video. As I mentioned earlier,
No.
I know it's terrifying, but as I said to you in the last video, a lot of you are expressing interest in recording video for us ahead of our new YouTube show here on YouTube, the Daily Show coming to YouTube. And I thought we should maybe try and help people out here, right? Because we've found lots of ways to record video and lots of cool things we do and lots of cool tips and tricks and hardware that we've got to do it. Yeah. And I thought it'd be really cool to mention some of that. So I'm going to go through some of it.
I think we need to, because that at the beginning I did is actually true. I mean, video terrifies me, or at least it used to. Because it's just something I've got no control of, right? I've got no idea if I'm in frame. I've got no idea if it's pointing up my nose. And, it's out of our comfort zone. Audio, fine. I feel perfectly happy with. Video, not so much. But it is doable, perfectly doable, even if you can't see the screen at all like myself.
Yeah. And, it's going to be about a little bit of planning. A little bit of thinking ahead and certainly trying stuff. Just try stuff at home. That's the best way. Like you said last time, and it's the best tip you can give someone. If you want to do something like this, just keep practicing at it. And if you want to try something and send it in and say, look, this isn't a demo, this isn't for on air. It's just to really see, does this make sense? Am I doing this the right way? Then try that. And the great thing with this is if you send in some video, you don't have to edit it. You don't have to do anything. You could just send us a raw video file and we'll do it all. We're not going to make you look silly. And trust me when I tell you, we have had some very high up people in companies send in videos to our show, especially our TV show, Access Tech Live. And they will tell us, please edit this and make me look good. We will never speak to you again if this looks bad. And they trust us to do that. And these are very high up people in some big companies. And we've done it, and of course, we never make anybody look silly, and we wouldn't make you look silly. That's not what it's about. Except Shaun, he is hilariously silly.
Yes, that's absolutely fine.
There's no way around it.
No, absolutely. Of course, we're going to do the best we can with any of it, and you're absolutely right. Look, if you want to test it out and you don't know who to send it to us, and we'll have a conversation about it. No problem at all.
And that applies to even if you're not sending in stuff to the show, right? If you just want to know something, if you want to test something, it's not about necessarily doing stuff for the show, but if you want to do that, that's great. But if it's just for you, or you just want to try something and just get our advice on it, then do not even hesitate to get in touch. So a couple of things. Let's talk about the hardware. Now, last time we talked about the smartphone as being the answer to everything. Guess what I'm going to say today? I'm going to say the same thing. The smartphone, look, it's got all the capability in there. And it's got the accessibility built in. That iPhone, for example, right? You've heard of it, right? It's very popular. It gives you audible feedback in the camera app when you're recording to let you know if you're in frame. If you're running voiceover, it will talk to you. It will tell you one person centered in frame. If there's more than one of you, or if you're not expecting more than one of you, it will tell you two people centered in frame. You'll wonder, who's that in my house?
Scare you to death. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. But, that camera app is really all you need. And to be honest, I wouldn't go further than that on the iPhone. I know there's lots of apps out there, lots of things, but honestly, a lot of them you try, they tend to come with roadblocks. They also come with additional functionalities you don't need. The key is, I would say, if you have a large capacity or larger capacity iPhone, record in the highest video quality you can. Under your settings app, you'll find camera. And in there, you'll find lots of cool things like, settings for video. Some will say like 1080p and all that kind of stuff. Record in 4K. And the reason I say that is from a selfish point of view as an editor, you want to be able to crop video. And the great thing with 4K video is you can crop that video to a certain size and you never lose any quality because it's 4 times 1080p. If you send a 1080p video file in, then if you crop that, suddenly you're dividing that by 4 and you have a very poor video quality. So something to consider. Recording settings really important. And, there's tons of settings in there to play with. Smart HDR and all this stuff. Look, you know what? That's not really important. The key is to record in the highest quality you can. And your phone will tell you if it's capable of doing that in terms of the amount of space you have. And if 1080p is all you have, that is fine. So camera app for sure is great.
Yes.
The only other app I would say for recording video, interestingly, is WhatsApp. Because you can record video directly in there. Yeah. And now you've got video messaging in there. So you can actually go into an app like WhatsApp and next to the microphone, you've got this video recording function. I think that's rolled out nearly everywhere now. You double tap and hold on it and it will start recording a video. You can do the same thing you do with sending audio messages. You can do the same with video. Just get your camera in front of you. And it's at that point always using your front-facing camera, so the camera that's above your screen, so it's looking at you directly all the time. That is the camera it will use to record, and you can record a selfie video and send that in. So, again, another cool way to do it.
Yeah, and the camera on your smartphone, be it Android, be it iPhone, is more than enough. You know, most of them support 4K now, as you said, Stephen. But even if you're doing 1080p, if that's the highest your particular model will go, it's fine. It's absolutely fine. The camera itself on these smartphones, because of the power of the processor in the smartphone, is absolutely amazing. And to be honest, I'd struggle to think why you would go beyond that anyway. I know, Stephen, you've got professional, DLSR cameras for recording for TV and things. But even then, switch between that and an iPhone recording in 4K, or any smartphone for that matter, recording in 4K. And it is quite difficult to notice the difference. But on the plus side, you've got the accessibility of TalkBack or VoiceOver. Absolutely amazing. I would say it's very important, though, if you are using the screen reader on your smartphone, to use headphones. Because, of course, you don't want your screen reader talking all over, because it does give you those voice prompts, one face in middle of frame, which is great, but you may not want that in the actual recording itself shouting out. So if you can, wear headphones or just mute the speech before you start recording your video.
Yeah, 3-finger double tap.
Yes.
And that will silence your speech or mute your speech for that period, or you can turn VoiceOver off as well if you choose to. I think what's interesting here, I mean, you said about the different resolutions. The reason I mention the resolutions is, I think, important, because I know for a lot of people it might feel you're getting a bit pro level here. You're really not. Because here's the thing. I have recorded many interviews on my own where I've set my camera up or my phone up using the rear camera to record. And what I do is I'm recording in 4K deliberately, because I can then place that camera as far away from me as I can. I can bring my subject in with me, stand next to them, record an interview, and I have no idea if that camera has got us in shot or not. I know it roughly has, but I can't tell for definite if it's in the right position.
Yep.
When I get back home to edit that footage, I can crop that image in so I can have the perfect positioning. That's why I do it. That's the only reason I use it. And there's a lot of video editors. There's actually a pro video editor that told me that. He said, always record 4K, doesn't matter what you're doing, because then you can always crop your video. You can make it look amazing. And, it doesn't matter who's recording it. As long as you're both in frame, as long as you're both in shot, that's all that matters.
Yeah, it's all about the editing for 4K. Honestly, the quality side of it is not too important for me, at least, but for the editing purposes, you can frame things up, pan things around, because there's more space. So absolutely. But the point I was making is just, if your phone doesn't have 4K, don't worry about it too much, because you do have to be more careful in the positioning and placing of the camera in that case. But that's something we're going to get onto.
Yeah, and mentioning Android as well, they have guided frame, which is fairly new, and that's a cool feature to help you get yourself in frame on an Android phone. One device or one piece of hardware I'm going to get you all to spend money on, because I guarantee you're going to be interested in this. I don't know how many times I have been on a call with someone and they've said, I'm going to use my iPhone, if that's okay, to do this interview. And usually it's someone contributing to an interview on the show. And we get them on, and what they do is they sit their phone on the table, and it falls back, or it falls forward, or we're getting the up the nose viewpoint, and it's so frustrating for the person.
Phones
because
are so slippy now.
Yeah, and also nobody has a stand like that. And that's the problem, right? No one's got something to put the phone up on, and it's not like you can even, if you had a pile of books in front of you, and why would you? But if you had a pile of books sitting in front of you, you could put it up on that, because it would just fall back onto the pile of books, right? So you'd just be staring at the ceiling again, or staring at the title of the book. It is tricky. And this is why I've been looking for something to solve this problem. There's two things I found on Amazon. Same thing, but for different purposes. One is called the Cooper Mag Stand. There's also the Cooper Chat Stand. These are height adjustable devices, height adjustable stands for your phone. Doesn't matter what phone it is. If it's an Android phone, you would use the chat stand, and it has these expandable, this expandable little thing at the top. So you basically just push your phone into it. It expands to fit to the size of the phone, and then it holds the phone steady in position. And then that whole thing can be height adjusted. You've got a little screw at the side. You just unscrew that, and you just raise it up to whatever height you would want it to be. Essentially, you want it to be head height. So if it's on a desk, it would be head height. And that's what these are for. These are for desks. So if you're sitting at a desk and you've got your phone and you want to conduct an interview and you want to look your best, you want that phone to be, fairly far away from you, but you want it to, it's basically to the edge of the desk, or at least as far back as you can send that device on the stand to be. And then on top of that, you want it to be head height. And something like this can do it. We're talking $17 here. It's not a huge amount of money. But it will allow you to get confident. If you are starting to do video, you want it to look your best, right? And this will guarantee you as a blind person that the phone is in the correct position and that the phone is not moving. You don't want anything to fall back or, get into a bad position. This can guarantee that. So the mag stand is the same, but it's for iPhones, of course, with MagSafe. So you don't have the little clip to connect your phone into. It will automatically connect on. I'm going to get myself a couple of these. I saw them the other day, and I thought that is exactly what I need to tell people about, because the amount of people I interview who could do something like this. Again, I mentioned in the last video, a lot of this is to do with planning. If you want to start creating content yourself, it's got to look good. People have set standards on this stuff now. And if you're joining in on this, if you want to start a YouTube channel, it's got to look good. It can't, and it's not acceptable anymore. And I don't think it's appropriate anymore for us as blind people to say, it's okay for us to stick out video where we've got cameras up our nose. There's no need for it anymore. There are tools out there that can stop that, and these are just two of them.
But and plus, we don't want to put out content like that either.
No.
We want the best that we can do. And it's exactly these tools that allow you to do that. That sounds really cool. I fancy one of these myself, actually. The amount of people that we talk to, I think you mentioned this already, but, who are scrambling around trying to find somewhere to rest their phone to do this sort of thing. And it just adds to the worry of, is that camera going to shift halfway through? Have we got to move it around? And the last thing you want when we're recording video is to have to think about anything else other than, the chat that we're having or the information you're trying to give across. So knowing it's there, it's not going to move, is a great thing.
I also get asked a lot, and we can talk a little bit about the Mac and the PC here. The PC, there is actually a camera app built in, right? Which you use actually quite a lot.
Yeah, I used it all the time. It's very good, very accessible, just called Camera. Hit the Windows key, bring up the start menu and type Camera, and bang, you're in it. It can take photos or video. You can set it there's a resolution as well. So set it to the highest resolution that your camera supports, and it's just a record button. Very nice, very easy.
On the Mac, you've got QuickTime, which again is very simple. We mentioned it before for audio recording. When you go to the file menu, you've got new movie recording and you've got new audio recording. There's also another option for screen recording, but we're not going to talk about that today. But that's another cool feature in there as well. It's all built in. It's all part of the Mac experience. It's all just there. You have all these tools available. It's amazing. And QuickTime is a very simple app. It really is. Literally starts recording your video. You can choose which camera. You can choose which audio device you want to choose. So if you have a microphone connected, you can make sure that is selected and it will record high quality video. You can choose your type of video quality, high, or I think it's maximum or high, which is a bit weird. It's not guaranteed as to what those are, but I just go for the biggest one. It's like, okay, maximum then. Let's just do maximum.
That's
I just want the highest quality. That's right, exactly. Maximum by day, maximum by night.
I don't know what that means. Right. I don't like it.
No.
That's the software that comes with the operating systems there. And as I mentioned, they're perfectly adequate, perfectly accessible, absolutely fine. But what about hardware for recording on a desktop computer or even a laptop? Would you recommend using the built-in webcam on a laptop, for example?
Okay, so on average, I would say on a Mac, you can get away with a MacBook camera. They're not too bad. Again, it's all about the positioning of the camera as well, right? Because oftentimes they're quite low, so you got to pop them up a little bit. And you can buy laptop stands that will raise up the camera. These are more for ergonomic reasons than, so you look good on camera. But it raises the screen up to head height so that someone who's using a laptop all day isn't ending up with a sore neck. And this is becoming more popular than ever. Logitech brought one out recently. They brought out a little device which you can kind of just tuck away in your drawer at the end of a night. It's like a little temporary solution. I've seen tons of these. I've got them as well for my setup. For actually more for the camera than the positioning. Again, it's for the camera for me. And there was one I got which can fold away. It just folds up into nothing, and then it pops in a bag, and you can take it with you or leave it permanently set up. So in terms of hardware, I would say if you can consider something like a webcam. And webcams are, they range. There's so many different types, and you'll hear lots. And we could do a whole video, and we will probably do a whole show at some point on webcams, because there's a lot in there. I was just hearing the other day from someone who said, I'm looking for a new webcam. I've heard about ones that now work with Windows Hello, which means that when you look at the camera as you sign into your computer, you don't have to do anything. You just turn the computer on. It sees you and says hello, and literally, and you're in. It recognizes it's like Face ID, which the Mac doesn't have. Hello, Apple. Are you listening?
Brilliant. Wow.
So, yeah. Is this thing on? Honestly, Face ID on a Mac, why not, right? I mean, it's got this big notch in it in the MacBook. It's like, can't you just put Face ID equipment in there? That's technical.
I did not know that. That's a whole new video. Let's not get carried away.
No. So there are specific cameras for that. I think Logitech Brio is one particular part of their range, which I know does allow for Windows Hello. There will be others as well. Oftentimes when you're buying them, they will tell you, but the cheaper end don't tend to have that. What I would recommend if you're looking for a webcam is you're going to hear me. If you ask me no matter what, when you ask me this question in the last 5 years, I will always give you the same answer. Logitech C920. That is the one camera I would recommend to anybody, because time and time and time again, despite all the products that come out, this is one webcam which always delivers the goods. It's a simple webcam, literally just connects to USB. There's nothing fancy about it. You don't need any fancy software. You don't need anything. You plug in and you go, and it's a good camera, really good camera. And of course, that can sit on top of your monitor if you've got one. It can sit on top of your laptop. If you've got the laptop instead, it can also, and this is important to note, and this is really something cool about it, in the bottom of it, at the very bottom, there's a little bit that sort of pulls out from the bottom, and that allows it to sit on top of a monitor. In that is a little tripod mount. Now, you can buy arms from companies like SmallRig and Elgato, and these are clamp arms that clamp onto your desk. There are a lot of blind people who don't have monitors. Don't need monitors, often sit with their laptops in clamshell, don't want to have a laptop open. So for those people who've got no monitor and no screen on their desk, where do you sit the webcam, right? Well, you can actually mount it on a clamp on your desk. You buy this little clamp. It has a pole which goes vertically up. It's often extendable and height adjustable, like we mentioned earlier with the phone rig. And you can actually get adapters that can connect a phone to that as well if you wanted to. But your webcam will just connect right into that. It'll just screw right on to that, and it puts your camera in a good head height position on your desk without the need for a screen. So that's how you can bring a webcam into the mix. You've got a different webcam, which is a bit more involved, but it has actually, I think, made you more relaxed around video.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I've got a webcam by Insta. I think it's called the InstaLink 360. And this camera is really cool. And yeah, it did, actually. I was really nervous about recording video, but this did help because it's on its own gimbal, which is a weird word I still can't get used to. But basically, it means that it can track. It moves the webcam around and it tracks me. So I don't have to worry too much about being in frame because it will automatically center me in the middle of the shot. Now, we've had a few issues with it, Stephen, let's be fair, where it's looking at the ceiling and I need to unplug it and plug it back in. But as a general rule, it's fantastic for just making me not have to worry about where it's looking because it will do it itself. Now, I say this, software, accessibility, not good whatsoever. But once you set it up, I mean, you can just plug it in and forget about it. But there are some extra features in there, like how much do you want it to track you along, when you walk around the room? Do you want it to zoom in so it's just a headshot or half body shot or full body shot? And you can set all those things up. I had to get sighted assistants to do that. But once it's set up, I forget about it. And it's just so nice not to have to worry that, am I in the center of the shot? It's great, but then again, it is quite an expensive camera when you compare it to all the other, the mainstream webcams that are out there, like the Logitech C90, C920, is it? C920.
Yeah.
I think it was around 300 and something pounds, which is going to be nearly 600 Canadian. So it's quite expensive, but obviously I record quite a lot of video, so in my case it was worth it. But if you want to take the worry away and you can justify spending that much money, I gotta say, I do recommend it, the InstaLink 360 webcam.
And there is one other camera you can consider, and it applies to both Android and iPhone here, but I'm going to talk about the iPhone because it's something I know about and that's something I use, and that is on the Mac. If you have a Mac and an iPhone, you can actually use your camera, the back camera, on your iPhone as your webcam. Now, I've got to tell you, we used this on a show we did. We were out doing Access Tech Live in Amsterdam, and this is exactly what I used to broadcast live on television back to AMI TV in Toronto. And no one believed for a second until I took a picture of my setup and showed them. No one believed an iPhone was doing that level of picture quality because, of course, the back camera on the iPhone is the best camera. The front camera is good, but the back camera is the best. So if you're recording, you really probably, professionals would use the back camera. And that's the camera this continuity camera feature uses. Now, you do have to enable this. And it's a pretty simple setup. I turned my continuity camera setting off because every time I would go into a Zoom app or I'd go into Teams or go into anything that had the camera functionality, and of course that's every day for us, it would pop up and say on my phone, do you want to use this as a camera? Or worse, it would connect automatically. It would just go right on and do it. And that was quite irritating for a while. So I turned it off, but I just turned it on again the other day so we could demonstrate this to ourselves and see how it worked. And all I did was I went into settings, search in the settings for continuity. First option, only option is continuity camera. When you go into that, you're actually in the airplane handoff menu, and you can go down the list there and you'll find lots of things in there, but one in particular you'll find is continuity camera. You can enable that, just tick the tick box or turn it on, but double tap. And then that's it. That's all you do. As long as your phone is on Wi-Fi and the Mac is on Wi-Fi on the same Wi-Fi connection, whenever you go into an app, whatever it is, Zoom or QuickTime or any of them, you can choose the iPhone, and it will come up as iPhone webcam. And it will also, you'll see iPhone desk view as well, which is another thing, but we'll not talk about that today. But it's like a strange view. It can actually, even though the camera's facing you, it can actually do a desk view for you as well. It's so weird. It works incredibly well.
I can't get my head around that.
That's for things like hands-on videos and stuff. And if you wanted to really dig into that, that's fine. But I think I would probably stick with just using the iPhone webcam as it is. And that allows you to use that functionality. So use the camera on the iPhone for your calls. So that's another way to do it. And again, that's cool for interviews. It's cool for connecting. And it just appears as an item in the list along with everything else. So if it isn't automatically showing up, you just go to your menu, whatever that menu is, for whatever the application is, be it Zoom or Teams or whatever, you will find the camera in there labeled that way, and it will automatically appear. The one thing to be aware of is if you get a call in the middle of it, of whatever you're doing, the camera will freeze, and it will not return until the call has either ended or you've taken the call and ended the call. So that's something to be aware of. And for some reason, with me, Do Not Disturb just doesn't work. I can't get it to do anything. It's certainly, it may as well be called Please Disturb Me, because that's all it does.
I think you've just got it set so I can always break through, Stephen Scott. I
Possibly,
think
that's what it is.
That's the thing, because we tested this out and I still managed to get through. But yeah, I think we've covered the hardware there. Is there anything else you think we need? I'm conscious
Yes, there's one thing.
Go on.
Well, it's a final thing, unless you have anything to add, but I have the one final thing to mention.
Okay, go on.
And it might sound ridiculous.
Oh, forget it then.
lens wipes. Alcohol-based lens wipes. Keep them handy. Do you know why? Because we as blind people are always feeling our way around things. Feeling our way.
Oh, stop it. It's like ASMR.
Smudging camera lenses as we go. And so always, once you've positioned a camera, once you've got it in place, just give it a wipe with one of those lens wipes and it will guarantee you have a beautiful look. Oftentimes you might go onto a video call and someone will say, wow, it's very bright in that room, or wow, there's so much glare coming off your setup. And honestly, 1 or 2 wipes with that particular lens wipe will clear all that up, because the camera is giving good quality, but it's all smudged.
Yes.
So something else to consider. And actually, I suppose we should mention as well, just try and make sure there's no plastic covering the lens. That can be another fun element of some of these devices as well. That can also cause some problems along the way.
And just like when we talked about audio recording in the other video, we've made all these mistakes ourselves. So
yeah,
it's
every one of them.
Yes, absolutely fine. I just wanted to talk quickly about lighting. It is important to make sure you are lit. The amount of times I've recorded something only to realize I'm sat in the dark. So just keep that in mind as well. It doesn't really matter what lighting you use. Whatever you've got will do, but just make sure you are well lit.
Yeah, I mean, the way to approach lighting, and the way, honestly, professionals approach lighting in this simple form, which is 10 and 2. Literally, that is it. So you think about lighting as a 10 and 2 formation in front of you. So you want a light at 10 o'clock and a light at 2 o'clock. Now, that light at 10 o'clock could be a window open, a blind open, for example, and a window. So that would be your 10 o'clock position. And then at 2 o'clock would maybe be a lamp on a table. That is literally all you have to think about in those terms. For a window, you ideally want it to be in front of you so that the camera is not receiving light from the window. So say, for example, your back is to the window. That's not ideal, because then you're going to get all that light pouring in and it's going to blank out your face. You won't even see
You'll just be a silhouette. Yes, yeah. Never do that. If
you've an overhead light, turn it on. The more light, the better for cameras. Every single time. More light, the better. Yeah. So, you can get an overhead light on. That is great as well. Try, if possible, to have as much natural light as possible, but as much artificial light. Reason being, we've had interviews with people where the sun goes down or disappears during an interview, and suddenly that person is left in darkness.
Our interviews are that long. Yes.
Our interviews last for days. So, you got to think about that as well. There's all these little things you can think about. And in terms of lighting, you're absolutely right. I mean, it's important to know that, that lighting is on, and you can use apps like Seeing AI to detect light, to make you aware of if light is even on or not. So those are good things too, those little tips along the way.
Yes.
I'm sure you'll have many others. Get in touch in the comments below. We love hearing from you as well on this. Like I say, and like you've just said, Shaun, we've made all these mistakes. We've done all this before.
Yes.
So, we're not telling you this on the basis of we are experts. We are literally just making these mistakes and giving our opinions. Next time round, we're going to talk about how to look your best on camera, because a lot of you will have questions around, how do I know I'm on camera? How do I know I'm centered? How do I know that I'm actually on screen? How do I know that, if I've positioned this camera, I'm actually in view? Well, I'm going to get into all that in the next video on the next Double Tap on YouTube. Thank you, Shaun.
Thank you. Bye-bye.